What happens when we begin to realize that the 200-year experiment we've called the American healthcare system has failed? Tune in to Awakened Wellness with Mylène Riobe, MD, and join the conversation about how to heal our broken system to reverse our current health crisis. The entire world is looking for answers, and the truth is hidden in plain sight. Learn how spirituality, ancient traditions, and cutting-edge science are merging to create a new paradigm of wellness. Every Tuesday at 11 a.m. and 11 p.m. with live shows on the first and third mornings when you can call in and ask the questions that matter most to you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Awakened Wellness with Mylène Riobe, MD, where we'll be going on a mind-expanding, eye-opening adventure into wellness and disease prevention. I'm your host, Dr. Mylène. Today's topic is hormones, friends or foe. We'll be debunking myths, learning about cutting-edge research, corroborating ancient medical systems, and exploring the mind-body-spirit approaches that keep you and your family healthy and vibrant. Hormones are extremely controversial, and there's a lot of chaos swirling around hormones. And I call it a manufactured chaos. And hopefully by the end of today's show, you'll be empowered to make decisions for you and your family that can help you be healthier in our challenging environment today. I'd like to stress that what I'll be discussing on our show does not constitute medical advice because I'm not specifically evaluating and treating any particular person. My patients who come to see me at the Riobe Institute are fully and properly evaluated before I formulate a treatment plan to share with them. So I also advise you to seek the care of a board-certified integrative medical doctor to see which of the ideas I'll be sharing throughout our show that may benefit you. I'm blessed and I'm honored to be with you here today on Dream Vision 7 Radio. We're live every first and third Tuesday morning at 11 a.m., and we have a bonus show today, January 28th. Pre-recorded shows can be heard on the second and fourth Tuesday mornings, also at 11. And if you're a night owl, you can listen to our pre-recorded shows Tuesday nights at 11 right here on Dream Vision 7 Radio. During our live shows, I encourage you to give me a call with your question. Our number is 833-220-1200. That's 833-220-1200. I'd love to hear your questions and comments, and I'm here to serve you. I'm looking forward to giving you some practical common sense advice to help demystify the topic of hormone replacement therapy. It's especially important for women as we tend to rely a little bit more on our hormones than men do, although they're equally important to both genders. Women are particularly susceptible to stress because of genetics and because of lifestyle. And so our hormones tend to become significantly more imbalanced over time than men. And so it's a really important topic for women's health. And it's close to my heart because I'm an OBGYN as well as an integrative physician and a woman and the mother of a daughter. I have an amazing son as well, but in my clinical experience and from what the studies are showing, women are much more susceptible to hormone imbalance. And it explains a little bit of why we have twice as much depression as men do, and it also explains why we have multiple times more cases of autoimmune disorders than men do. So it's extremely important to learn about hormone replacement therapy so you can make informed decisions for yourself to keep yourself well. I'm a medical director of the Riobe Institute of Integrative Medicine in Jupiter, Florida. I've been a practicing physician for over 17 years, and I have the privilege of being double board certified in the newly accepted field of integrative medicine as well as OBGYN. I grew rapidly frustrated with our conventional medical model soon after completing my residency in OBGYN back in 2001, when I realized that I wasn't at all equipped despite 13 years of advanced training in medicine. I realized quickly that conventional medicine was only equipped to deal with acute, life-threatening conditions and had limited ability to prevent or treat chronic conditions, which constitute the vast majority of today's health concerns. To make matters worse, the Women's Health Initiative study was released in 2004, shortly after I had completed my board certification in OBGYN. This study was devastating news for hormone replacement therapy, which is the cornerstone of gynecology. This caused chaos in the field of women's health just as I completed my board certification. At the time, I didn't really know about other options, but I knew something wasn't right about the conclusion that hormones cause cancer and strokes. If they cause cancer and strokes, why do we make them as part of our normal body function? So I embarked on an exciting adventure to find answers. I firmly believe that nature always has a solution for anything it can allow to happen. I found those answers in the field of TCM and functional medicine. TCM is traditional Chinese medicine. Both of these systems are holistic, designed specifically to determine underlying causes of symptoms and conditions and reverse them, using natural, effective, and studied methods. When one studies and uses these holistic systems, one begins to see that nature does in fact have solutions to anything it allows to happen. What we also learn is bad things happen when we alter nature's course, as was done in the Women's Health Initiative study, which we'll discuss today. The Women's Health Initiative study looked at two groups of menopausal women using hormone replacement therapy. One group had what we call an intact uterus, so they had never had a hysterectomy, and they used a combination hormone replacement therapy brand called Prempro. Another group who had had hysterectomies used estrogen replacement therapy, or Premarin, which is the brand name. The study was looking at hormones for their ability to prevent certain conditions, such as colon cancer, for example. It was supposed to be a 5-year study done by the manufacturer of the drugs Prempro and Premarin. They got a rude awakening when the study was abruptly halted after only 4 years due to an alarming rate of breast cancer and strokes in the study population. Now, mind you, these drugs had been on the market in the United States for 40 years before we finally got this data. As can be expected, women and doctors panicked all across the country and stopped hormones abruptly. The authors of the study even recommended that these hormones be removed from the market. And as many of you will notice, they are still on the market today, over 14 years later. Shortly after this study was released, a curious thing happened. We all got letters from our governing body in obstetrics and gynecology, the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology, about, of all things, bioidentical hormones. The gist of this letter was that due to the Women's Health Initiative study and the lack of studies on bioidentical hormones, we should not prescribe them to our patients. This was the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology, our governing body. I just passed my OBGYN boards and had not yet fully embarked on my journey into functional medicine. So I listened and didn't prescribe bioidentical hormones. The ink wasn't even dry on my board certificate, so I wasn't about to veer from what my governing body told me to do. But that didn't last long. I've gone to the same gym in my town for over 17 years, and periodically I ran into a surgeon friend who was always doing cardio on the treadmill. We would talk about insurance companies and commiserate about the woes of conventional medicine. He eventually asked me if I knew about bioidentical hormones, and at the time, all I knew about them was that the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology told me not to use them. I had just started studying TCM 1 to 2 years prior to that time, and hormones were not prescribed in TCM, so I knew little about bioidenticals. He told me to check out a website that he highly recommended to learn more. So I investigated and was fascinated by what I saw. So I signed up for a class and attended. And what I found out in this class was that I already knew all I needed to know from my medical school and physiology textbooks. It was absolutely nothing new. What was so fascinating was that bioidentical hormones had indeed been studied, well studied, for over 20 years with excellent and safe results. And in this class, they explained why the Women's Health Initiative study revealed what it did, an alarming increased risk of breast cancer and strokes with the use of artificial hormones. It was also simple. Prempro is artificial and structurally different than natural progesterone, whereas bioidentical hormones are natural and structurally identical to natural progesterone. And what's even more important was that bioidentical hormones were structurally identical to our own hormones, which Prempro and Premarin are not. So back to the same old story. Artificial things cause chaos, and natural things, when properly used, don't. So I was excited to have hormone replacement therapy back in my armamentarium and couldn't wait until I saw my colleague again to thank him. Well, I never saw him again to this day, 14 plus years later, but I owe my discovery of bioidentical hormones to him. In TCM, hormones, or the endocrine system, are most closely in line with the TCM energy system called kidney, which is responsible for essence or pre-heaven chi. It rules the bones, and it manifests in the ear. It's considered the root of the body. So when we look at hormones, we can look at them from this viewpoint. Of course, the TCM kidney is not a physical organ, but an energy field, which also happens to consist of the physical kidney as a small part of itself. TCM organs are head to toe and beyond the body. So hormones are a very small part of kidney energy, but they're nonetheless important. The physical body is a necessary part of any spiritual endeavor. The body is a vehicle for the soul and spirit, and its health is critically important for our lives here on earth. Of course, once we depart this dimension, we drop it like a hot potato and move on. But while we're here, the physical body is pretty important to our journey. So the idea that hormones are part of the root, essence, and pre-heaven chi is an important one and should not be ignored. Hormones are essentially blueprints for body function. Hormones determine what genes get turned on or off in all 70 trillion cells of your body, and they control your body function. Hormones are made on an as-needed basis in the body and eliminated after being used. They're disposable in a way. They're made, used, and then eliminated from the body by the liver, and more is made as needed. Hormones should not be recycled in the body. That's dangerous, as I'll explain later. Hormones function inside the body cells. They're transported in the bloodstream to where they're needed and utilized. Blood levels of hormones regulate when more or less hormones are made, but they actually function inside the body cells, where they determine whether or not your body function gets done. The issue with hormones is that they're a sort of catch-22. What studies are showing is that if your levels are too low, you have problems. And if your levels are too high, you have problems. So as TCM tells us, balance is everything. As an example, if your estrogen levels are too low, you're at risk for osteoporosis or brittle bones. You're at risk for dementia, Alzheimer's dementia in particular, infertility, heart disease, and even cancer. Yes, you can get cancer from low estrogen levels, and I'll explain that correlation a bit later in our show. If estrogen levels are too high, you're also at risk for cancer, heart disease, strokes, infertility. So having normal estrogen levels is critical to wellness and disease prevention. Why? It turns out that estrogen has over 400 different functions in the body in addition to reproduction. It's a common misconception that hormones are used only for fertility and reproduction, and once that phase of life ends, we no longer need hormones. People are led to believe that hormone levels decline with age because we don't need them. That is not true. Turns out reproduction is just a side job for estrogen and progesterone.